Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here today, episode 2685 of the Cabral Concept. Tuning back into another Total Wellness Tuesday. Excited to get into today's topic, which is a diet plan that can add more than a decade to your life. And the truth is that when we look at what are the biggest needle movers in our life for our wellness, for weight loss or weight gain or anti-aging, it all comes back to nutrition. So I know that as health practitioners, we don't like to say, well, diet's not necessarily more important than sleep or exercise or, low stress, any of those things. But in reality, it really is. And the reason is it's what we put into our body that creates more oxidative stress and aging and really a wearing out of the body, or it builds it up. And so there's actually a very interesting calculator that I'm going to link up for you here today. I'm going to be honest with you, it's not the best calculator that I've ever seen in terms of, how it works, functionality, moving the needle, but I'm going to allow you to play with it. But after you listen to today's show, regardless of how you move the needle on that calculator in terms of the foods that you're eating, you'll know if you're on the right track. That's the truth, because I'm going to share with you the exact foods that were shared in this study that has been going on now for decades that enabled people to add greater than 10 years to their life expectancy. And when you look at that, that's literally one of the most remarkable things that you could see. So think of it this way. So the average life expectancy is around 75 years old, right? So it's somewhere between 74 and 77. I typically say 75 is just an easy number to work with. All right, so 10% of your lifespan is 7.5 years. So if someone's giving you back 10 years, they basically gave you 15% more life. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, right? So now all of a sudden, you're adding another 10 years to your life. Now you're living until 85 or longer. And this is based on, again, you're going to get to see it in just a moment. This is based on starting a little bit later in life as well. So absolutely remarkable. Again, I always just share this with people because there really is so much hope. Even if you're struggling right now with wellness issues, with weight issues, if you feel like you're aging at a much more rapid pace, you can slow it and stop it almost at any time. That's the great thing about it. And it doesn't matter if you don't start until you're in your later 60s or beyond. It really does not matter. It matters to degrees. I'm going to share those degrees today, but you still get massive benefit. Everyone can use this to improve their life. All right, so let's dive right into the study. I'm going to link everything up. There's actually more than a dozen studies in this particular article, but I'm going to share with you what the most important are. All right, so it comes down to one specific diet. You've heard me talk about it before, but you may not have heard it in this specific way. It's referred to as the Med diet for short, or the Mediterranean diet. I've talked about it as many different ways as I can because the truth is there's no diet that has ever been studied that improves people's top causes of mortality. Like it drastically reduces them than this. I've been teaching this to a very large degree inside of my high performance health course and certification, and we just went through it. So we went through there's 7 main longevity diets, and the Mediterranean diet is one of those. But when you look at the others, there's just so many components that can fit right into the Mediterranean diet. I think the Mediterranean diet can be improved to degrees, and I've shared that in other shows, and I'll try to link up some of those shows as well today at stephencabral.com/2685 if you want to head on over the show notes. But this right here, really great study. I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to share with you that when you start, you actually get greater results. So many people consider the Mediterranean diet as the gold standard. It's because of the plant-rich diet, high in antioxidants, olive oil, and so much more that could be part of its factor. But in 2022, so just a little while ago, there was a new study published that adopting a Mediterranean diet can add years, even up to a decade or more to your life. And again, I'll link that up for you as well. The Norwegian study considered meta-analysis results and data collected in the global burden of disease, which examined causes of death, prevalence of 369 diseases and injuries, 87 risk factors in over 204 countries and territories. They use these factors to create a highly predictive model that calculates a person's lifespan based on their diet. And that's the calculator that I'm going to add for you here today. Researchers then use the model to estimate an individual's lifespan when eating the standard American diet and compared that to the lifespan estimate for the same individual when they followed an optimized diet which mirrored the Mediterranean diet. Check out the impact they found that eating a Mediterranean diet pattern has on one's longevity. This is remarkable. Check this out. So, if you increase, let's put it this way. If you adopt a Mediterranean diet at 20 years old, you can expect an average life expectancy increase, meaning more years added to your life, of anywhere from 10.7 to 13 years. Basically, that's taking you now to over 90 years old if you adopt this in your 20s or in your early 20s. If you adopt it by age 40, you can still add another 10 years, this is predictive, to 11.7. So now you're at 85 to 87 years old. Again, this is just on diet. There's other things, of course, that you can do. And this is not an upper limit. I'm not trying to put the nocebo, effect into your head that that's the upper limit. It's not. This is the starting point just from changing diet. But let's say you don't adopt it till age 60. Well, you can still add 8 to 8.8 years. So you can still, again, add that on top of the 75 or 77 years, however you want to look at it. You're up there at 75, 73 to 75. No, now it's 83 to 85 plus years. Amazing. And this was fantastic. If you still don't adopt a Mediterranean diet until 80 years old, you can still add an extra 3.5 years to your life just doing that at 80 years old. And here's why. This is such an important factor. A Mediterranean diet is high in phytonutrients. So it's high in fruits and vegetables. A lot of berries, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fiber. There's also a good amount of omega-3s, right? So it's coming from a lot of the wild-caught fish. So when we look at that, we say, okay, those are all big factors, but they also added a handful or two of raw, unsalted, unprocessed nuts per day. So all of these factors are increasing the antioxidants, okay? So that's squelching free radical damage. They are potentially helping with what are called sirtuins and the ways that the DNA is able to replicate properly. It's helping with omega-3s, which help with what? Well, it helps with all of the major causes of mortality, which are heart disease and stroke, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and then Alzheimer's. And omega-3s help with all of those. That's why it's really disheartening for people to say omega-3s are actually bad for you. I mean, it's just really scary how people will take cherry-picked studies and look at polyunsaturated fats and somehow equate those specifically to omega-3s, where omega-3s have some of the greatest amount of research out of every single nutrient available in order to improve all-cause mortality. I mean, it's remarkable. Very few scientists, PhDs, and doctors will ever tell you that omega-3s are bad for you. Very few. You have to get good quality ones. I'm not saying that. You don't want oxidized omega-3s, but they literally help with all-cause mortality. That means all causes of dying get improved. So that's a huge one. So I'm going to link up research on reduction of heart disease and stroke, reduction of cancer risk and recurrence, helping with squelching of inflammation. That's a big one, right? We know inflammation is implicated in over 90% of all disease. We know that inflammation becomes greater to squelch, meaning push down, empty, right? As we get older, and omega-3s and phytonutrients and antioxidants can all help with that. Same with the circulatory system, right? Helps with type 2 diabetes. We'll link up the links on that too. And in cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's. The last one I want to note is that with the Mediterranean diet, believe it or not, they saw an improvement with bone density as well. Now, a lot of that is simply because you're on an anti-inflammatory diet, you're doing things that are pro-metabolism, pro-metabolic, pro-hormone, they're healthier for hormones, and it decreases inflammation. So there's basically less stress in the body, less of a catabolic nature, less drawing of calcium from the bloodstream. So it's absolutely remarkable. I mean, it really is. I would just love people, no matter what diet that you want. So think about this. Let's say you're following a vegan diet or just vegetarian diet, or you're following a lacto-ovo diet, or you're following even a keto-based diet. You can't do it with carnivore, but you could do it with keto. And so just try to move more towards a Mediterranean-style diet. And if you want to know what a Mediterranean diet really is all about, there are different variations, of course, of what makes up a Mediterranean diet, what doesn't. What I would share with you is the cornerstones. So a lot of people say they eat so much bread and pasta, throw out the bread and pasta, right? Like you can have some bread and pasta if you want, that's fine. But that shouldn't be the main staple of your diet. Here's the main staple of a Mediterranean diet. It's vegetables, it's low glycemic fruit, it is whole grains. So again, that could be barley, it could be oats, it could be some rye, it could be buckwheat, it could be anything like that, high fiber grain. Now, again, if you're not someone who does well with grain, then omit the grain. You don't have to. Instead, you could borrow from what the Okinawans do or a lot of other cultures, and they have more tubers, more root vegetables. So sweet potatoes, Japanese yams, purple potatoes, I substitute those far more than I have any grains. I don't think that you have to eat the grains, because when I look at all of the longevity-based diets, many of them substitute tubers instead. All right, nuts, and we're not talking about like a jar a day. We're talking about 1 or 2 handfuls a day. Like that's what it is, right? That's what they have. Legumes, okay? Legumes or beans. All of the longest lived people seem to consume these. Again, if they don't work well with your digestive system, I recommend rebalancing that gut first. And then they have a little bit of meat, they have a little bit of fish, they have a little bit of dairy. That's where their proteins are coming from. So, and then of course, very little sugar, very little refined processed sugar. That's the substance of the diet. So if your diet doesn't look anything like that, it's worth at least contemplating. Now, again, I will share with you, I agree that this is not the number one diet for body transformation. And if your number one goal is to get in phenomenal shape and, become really muscular, all those things, I get it, I understand. Like this is not the number one diet. If your number one thing that you're optimizing for is overall health and longevity, then this is your number one diet. I mean, that's the thing is like, what are you optimizing for? We teach this a lot in HPH. And again, if you want to learn more about what high performance health is all about, you're welcome to. You can just find the details at highperformancehealth.org. But the goal here today is to share with you that there are things that you should be doing right now. And the earlier the better, right? I didn't find this out until my late 20s, early 30s. But if you can find it out at any point in your life, as you saw, you're able to add more years to your life. Now, this is just the diet part. You can start to add exponential years when you reduce stress, when you improve sleep. And those are other factors that we'll talk about in the future. So what I want to do is I want to keep it at that for today. I'm going to link up that calculator. Give it a shot. I used it. It said that I would increase my life by 5.4 years based on nutrition. Now, my nutrition looks just like the Mediterranean diet, so I found that to be a little odd, but that's okay. But anyway, so it says I'm going to add 5.4 years by food alone. Now, my plan is, of course, to add many more than 5.4 years. I'm going to use that I'm going to get it through exercise, through optimizing my sleep, etc. But I want to share all of this with you, of course, every single day, trying to bring you an actionable plan of what you can do to improve your overall health, weight gain, weight loss, and life extension. The details for today, all of the show notes will be at stevencabral.com/2685. Take care, everybody. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.